Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti. I am MrPhotographer.com. In this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about masking in Lightroom. You could have an image like this that has this green screen background and get rid of it like this. Lightroom doesn't have what I call traditional masking. When I refer to traditional masking, I'm talking about the type of masking that's found in an application such as Photoshop. That masking is very common. It's found across a lot of different applications, including Affinity Photo, On1 Photo Raw, Luminar, Exposure X4, and probably dozens of others. Lightroom's masking is unique to Lightroom, and it's a little quirky, and if you don't understand all the little quirks about it, I don't think you'll be able to use it to its fullest extent. Now, the masking in Lightroom is found in the local adjustment tools. The local adjustment tools are the radial filter, and you can see at the bottom it has a range mask. Next to that, we have the radial filter, and again, we have that same range mask down there. And in the brush, we have the range mask, but we also have an auto mask feature. We're going to start there. With auto mask, let's say for the sake of argument, for this image, I want to take this blue sky and I want to make it very light. So I'm going to just turn exposure way out. So what I could do is I could get a brush. In this case, I'll get a humongous brush and I'll just start brushing that blue sky. And you can see how it's indiscriminate. It's affecting everywhere, including the statue. And I just want to do the blue sky. Well, that's where this auto mask comes in handy. We'll activate that by clicking on the checkbox. Now what Lightroom will do is it will look at all the pixels that are directly under the plus sign of the brush. It's going to look at tone, texture, and color, and it's only going to affect similar pixels. So in the case of this uniform blue sky, if I click down here and start painting, and as long as I keep that plus sign off of the areas I don't want affected, I just keep it on the blue sky, you can see it's only doing the blue sky. It's not affecting the statue at all. So in an image such as this, with a very uniform, evenly colored, evenly lit blue sky, it does a great job. Some images it won't do as good a job, especially if the background is a little more busy. It has a lot more maybe dappled light in it, so tone varies, color varies. What you'll have to do in those instances is you'll have to come in and click with the left mouse button, paint a little, then probably resample by clicking with the left mouse button again, paint a little, let go of the left mouse button and paint a little. So you're going to have to keep clicking along and sampling new pixels that are underneath the plus sign. It's still possible and it still works, but in some cases you'll find it won't be as effective if whatever it is you're trying to affect isn't as uniform as my blue sky is here. But AutoMask has been around for a long time. It works very well, and it's something that most of us use quite often. But we have these other masks, these range masks. So let's talk about those. I'm going to work on this image for the range mask. So obviously we have a model in front of a green screen. And for this demonstration, I'm going to use the graduated filter. And you guys are thinking, why would he use a graduated filter? It's not a landscape image. Well, if you saw one of my previous videos, in one of those videos, I demonstrated how you could use the graduated filter to affect every single pixel in an image evenly. If you haven't seen that video, in the description below this video, I'll have a link to it. I encourage you to watch it because it's really a cool trick. So what I'm going to do for this image is I want to get rid of that green background. I want the green background to be black and white. I want it to be gray. So I'm going to go to saturation and pull that all the way down. Now, if you watched that video, and for this demonstration, I'll zoom out to 1:8. If you watched that previous video, you'll know that if you want to affect every single pixel, go to the graduated filter, click on a corner, any corner outside of the image, and drag away from the image, and you'll affect every single pixel equally. So in this case, we have a perfectly gray, black and white image now. And there's before, and there's after. Now notice something about this gray background. First of all, it's not very even. It's brighter over here and darker over here. And the range mask that we're going to be using is the color mask. And what you'll find is it's relatively precise, meaning to use it, go to it, click on the eyedropper, and we're going to click over here on the green background. And you'll notice because it's relatively precise, it's getting the toned green on this side more so than over here because this side was brighter. So we need to add to this selection. To do that, hold the Shift key in. Hold the Shift key in and click in another spot. And then hold the Shift key in and click in another spot. And you could keep holding the Shift key in and keep clicking to remove any residual green that you may have in your image. So it works okay. Of all the masking in Lightroom, the color mask is my least favorite because it is the most precise, maybe, to put it in a way. But because it's the most precise, it's the most difficult to apply to an image. So we'll do it again because there's another little trick you could do. Let's go to the color mask again, get the eyedropper again, and instead of clicking then holding the Shift key in to add to the selection, what we're going to do is we're going to draw. We're going to sample more than a single pixel when I click. So I'm going to just click and draw a humongous rectangle down here. Sample all those pixels. It did a little better, right? We'll go over here. Sample all those pixels. Hey, that did a pretty good job. So it really got rid of most of the green from the background and didn't affect the model as much. Now over here on this slider, you could move this around to better adjust it to your image. It just kind of adjusts the masks. So if I go to the right, it's going to start encroaching on our model. And you can see it's starting to suck some of the color away from her skin and stuff. So if I go to the left, then it's introducing some of that green back into the background. So you could use that to try to better fit the mask to your image. So that is the color range mask. It's effective, but a little touchy, for lack of a better way of putting it. But there's some more masks we could talk about. Now for this image, I want to do something just to the sky. So I could go to the graduated filter, and what I want to do for this is I want to add like tons of contrast to the sky. Let's just say I do. And I want to affect every single pixel of the sky. So I want to go way down here, and I'm going to hold the Shift key in so I put this graduated filter on perfectly horizontal. Now you can see it is affecting the sky, but it's affecting the buildings as well. Well, I'm going to go to the range mask, and there's a luminance mask. So we'll click on that. We're going to get the eyedropper again, and I'm going to click where I want it to affect. I want it to affect the sky. So I'm going to click on a whiter cloud. And you can see it removed the graduated filter automatically from the buildings. And to better demonstrate, let's go to, let's say, clarity and add clarity now. You can see how it's staying away from the buildings mainly. Let's see how the building, it's hard to tell, but the building isn't being as affected as much. So with that, I could come in and adjust now just the sky. It's not affecting anywhere else, just affecting the sky. So the luminance mask is very effective, and you have a lot of control over it. You have that smoothness slider here, which is similar to the slider we did last time. If I move it to the right, it will start affecting the buildings. See, it's not as sensitive. If I go to the left, it'll pull it away from the buildings. It might start affecting the sky as well. So you could kind of adjust the mask to your image. Also, when we used the eyedropper, it picked a specific range. You could see with these two half sliders. You could move those around to better try to fit it to your sky as well, or in this case sky, whatever you're doing. And again, this luminance range mask is available in the graduated filter, which I'm using now, the radial filter, and the brush. So it really is very versatile, and you could use it in a lot of different types of images with those local adjustment tools. So that's that. Now we have one more mask left, probably the quirkiest of them all. It's called the depth mask. At the depth, D-E-P-T-H, not depth, depth. Depth match will not work on every image. You noticed on one of the previous images it was grayed out. It must be a raw file, and your raw file must have depth information in it. This is actually an image that I took with my iPhone, and if you shoot raw with an iPhone and many other smartphones, it will have depth image programmed or included in the raw file. And then what you could do is you could go to any of the adjustments. Let's go to the, again, I stay with the radial filter, I guess, or the graduated filter, I'm sorry. And we're going to take exposure down. And I got a mask there. Let's take that out of there. Okay, we're going to take exposure down, and we're going to put it on, let's say, here. All right, so it's on our pumpkin. Now we're going to go to depth. When you have depth, you have the dropper. We're going to click on the pumpkin. Now you can see how it's just affecting the pumpkin. It's not affecting anything else. So this is how you could better affect something that is in focus in your image. You can see. Now in this case here, I don't think there's anything I need to do, but you get the idea. That's what you could do with it. You could show the depth mask, so you could see this. Where it's light is what is being affected, and where it's dark, it's not being affected. And there. So that is the depth mask. Again, we have the same range and smoothness sliders that were found with the Luminance mask. You could adjust those to better fit your image. Like that. And again, the depth mask will not be available on all images. It must have that data in the raw file. And a lot of smartphones will have that data in the raw file. So that is the depth mask. And that's all the masking that is in Lightroom. As I mentioned, it's unique to Lightroom and it's a little quirky. Practice with it, and I think once you get the hang of it, you'll know which mask will be effective on what image, and which won't be effective on another image, and you won't waste your time trying to apply a mask to an image where you know it's just not going to work. So that's everything you need to know about masking in Lightroom. Thank you, everyone that watches my videos. I truly do appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.